She's the one who makes us proud. That's what my mom wrote, underneath a picture of my little sister, Lena, blowing kisses at the camera, one hand tugging a sleek designer suitcase, the other holding her boarding pass to Paris. I read it 5 times, just to be sure I wasn't imagining it, just to confirm what I already knew, deep in my gut. And each time, it hit harder. Because on that very same day, the exact same day, I turned 30. And no one in my family remembered. No text, no call, no card, not even a lazy happy bidet in the group chat. But Lena, she gets a trip to France and a love letter for the world to see. I don't know why it shocked me. They've been doing this since we were kids, but somehow, turning 30, sitting alone in my apartment with a half-melted cupcake and silence in my inbox, that hit different. Maybe because I finally stopped pretending it was okay. Maybe because I finally let myself say it out loud. I don't matter to them. I never did. And no, this isn't about jealousy. It's about erasure. About realizing you've been the afterthought in your own family's story for so long, you started thinking maybe you earned it. Like maybe if you were louder, brighter, funnier, they'd notice. But you weren't. You were just dependable, quiet, invisible. So yeah, I didn't throw a party, didn't go out, didn't even post about it. Because who would care? All I did was sit at my tiny kitchen table, stare at a cupcake I bought for myself, and watch my mom's comment rack up likes on Lena's Instagram post. She's the one who makes us proud. Not, we're proud of our daughters. Not, we love you both. Just Lena. Just her. And me? I'm just the one who pays the bills, answers the phone when their Wi-Fi goes down, and smiles through it all, like it doesn't sting. But that night, it did sting. More than usual, because something inside me snapped. And for the first time, I didn't brush it off, didn't excuse it, didn't tell myself they were just busy or not big on birthdays. That night, I opened the joint bank account I'd been sending money into for 6 years, and what I saw changed everything. Lena was always the sunshine. Even when she messed up, she shined. When she failed a test in 10th grade, Dad laughed and said, "She's just creative, not academic." When she skipped curfew at 17, Mom told her, "You're young. You should be free." When I got an A- once, "You can do better." I don't even remember the first time I realized Lena was the favorite. Maybe it was the dance recital. She wore a pink tutu, barely moved on beat. But Mom cried like she just won an Oscar. I'd been in that same auditorium 2 years earlier, photography award, regional competition, scholarship attached. They didn't come. They said it was too far, 20 miles away. But they made it to Lena's dress rehearsal and the actual recital with flowers. That pattern never changed. Lena got upgrades. I got expectations. When Lena said she wanted to travel and find herself, they gave her a gap year and a brand new camera. When I said I wanted to double major in psychology and visual arts, they told me art wasn't a real career, and I needed to focus on something useful. So I did. I became the useful one, the one who handled adult things, while Lena stayed Lena. I taught myself how to budget, built my credit, paid for my own first car, a rust-colored Corolla that backfired when I reversed. Lena's first car? A white hybrid with heated seats and a pink leather steering wheel cover. Mom called it a reward for all her effort. I never got a reward, just reminders to be practical, responsible, quiet. But I clung to this idea that being good would earn me something. Their respect, their time, Maybe even love. I called every Sunday, helped with taxes, refilled their medicine cabinet when Dad had knee surgery, sent Mother's Day flowers every single year. And Lena, she FaceTimed from Greece once, drunk on wine and compliments. "Clara," she giggled, "you're so serious, you gotta let go." And I wanted to scream, but instead, I smiled and said, "Enjoy yourself." Because that's what I'd always been taught. Lena gets to live. I get to support. And here's the thing. I never hated her. She didn't ask for the pedestal, but it still hurt. Watching her be celebrated for simply existing, while I had to overperform just to be acknowledged. There was a Christmas, maybe 5 years ago. I bought everyone thoughtful gifts, handmade candles, a first edition book Dad mentioned in passing, a vintage brooch Mom had once admired. Lena showed up with a 5-pack of Starbucks gift cards. Guess which ones got the biggest reaction? Guess which ones got posted on Facebook? My gifts? Not even mentioned. But Lena's? So thoughtful of our little globetrotter. I remember sitting there, watching the glow of the tree lights bounce off my glass of wine and thinking, do they even see me? Not as the helper, not as the fixer, not as the second mother to Lena, but as Clara, as their daughter, as someone worth showing up for. Spoiler, they didn't. And after 3 decades of playing the good kid, I finally asked myself, why am I still trying to win a game? That was never meant for me. There's a sound silence makes. It's not really quiet, it's heavy, thick. Like when you walk into a room and everyone just stopped talking, and you know the conversation was about you. That's what my birthday felt like. Not just the silence, but the weight of it. Like my absence wasn't just unnoticed, it was intentional. I tried to pretend I was fine the next morning, poured myself some burnt coffee, stared at my inbox like it owed me something, checked my phone again. Nothing. Still nothing. Not even a meme. Not even a typo. At lunch, I opened my messages just to scroll back. Not to find something new, but to prove to myself there was truly nothing there. And there wasn't. That kind of emptiness. It echoes. It brings back everything you've ever tried to bury. Like the birthday in 5th grade, when I asked for a slumber party, and Mom said, "Let's keep it small this year." Then threw Lena a princess tea party a month later. Full costume, pony rental, the works, or the time I fell off my bike and cracked my chin. Blood everywhere. Mom yelled at me for ruining my new shorts. When Lena scraped her knee the next week, she got popsicles and a new pair of shoes. It's like Lena's pain was always urgent. Mine. Inconvenient. That morning, I put on my headphones and walked to the corner store, just to do something. I needed motion, needed noise. But the second I stepped outside, everything around me felt too loud and too quiet at the same time. Kids laughing across the street, a dog barking through a window, someone dragging their trash cans to the curb. Life kept moving, like nothing had happened, like I hadn't just been erased. I picked up a bottle of cheap wine and a frozen pizza. Birthday dinner for one. At the checkout, the clerk scanned the bottle and said, "Celebrating something?" I hesitated, then smiled. Actually, yeah, kind of. It was easier than saying, "I'm celebrating myself," because no one else did. Back home, I didn't even bother turning on the lights. I sat in that dim kitchen, still in my coat, staring at the cupcake from last night. The candle had bent sideways. It looked tired, too. I opened my voicemail, just in case. One message. My dentist, reminding me about a cleaning. I laughed. Not because it was funny, just because, of course. And that laugh? it cracked something open because I suddenly remembered a voice memo, something from last year, buried in my files. Mom rambling after a wine night. Clara's always been the stable one. She doesn't need the fuss Lena needs. She's strong. She'll be fine. Strong, not loved, just fine. I hit delete. Then I sat there, arms around my knees, wine glass untouched. And for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel sad. I felt done. Done justifying their silence. Done pretending it didn't bother me. Done being the reliable one, if that just meant being disposable. And that's when I remembered something else. The account. The shared family account I'd been transferring money into for years. Supposedly for emergencies, medical stuff, repairs, grown-up things. I hadn't checked it in months. It wasn't mine, technically, but I'd set it up. I had admin access. I was the techie one, remember? So I opened my laptop, logged in, and what I saw didn't echo. It roared. I didn't expect to find anything. I just wanted to prove to myself, again, that I was overreacting, that the silence, the favoritism, the imbalance, it was just emotional, not financial, not documented, not real in a way that had receipts, but I was wrong. I logged into the shared family account, the one I'd set up 6 years ago. It was meant to help Mom with her medical bills back when Dad's construction business hit a rough patch. I named it Heart Fund. Thought I was clever. First thing I saw, 36 on and 128, 47, gone. Second thing, a series of withdrawals over the past 10 months. One $200, Air France, $2,330, Saks Fifth Avenue, $900, Lena Travel Prep, $3,100, Paris Lodging, Paris, of course. And the most recent one, $450, Le Marais Spa gift card, memo, for our girl. I stared at the screen, blinked, scrolled again. No mention of emergencies, no surgeries, no hospital bills, just spa days, luggage, plane tickets, Parisian cafes, all charged to the same account I'd been quietly funneling money into since I was 24. And what made it worse? I recognized the deposits, $150 a month, auto transfer from my freelance retainer, $500, one time, from my tax refund last year, $200, Christmas bonus. I'd even skipped a friend's bachelorette trip because family comes first. Turns out, family just forgot to tell me which daughter came first. I clicked on one of the receipts. It opened a PDF, Lena's flight confirmation, with a little smiley face drawn at the bottom in digital ink. I slammed the laptop shut. My heart was racing, not like fear, more like clarity, like everything finally snapped into place. This wasn't just neglect. This was theft dressed up in family. It wasn't the money. It was the story I'd been telling myself about the money, that I was being helpful, that I was being good, that one day they'd say, "Thank you, Clara. You've always been our rock." But no one thanks a doormat. They just wipe their feet and keep walking. I opened my texts, clicked on Mom's name, typed, "Can we talk?" Read. No reply. I waited 15 minutes, 20. Then I did something I hadn't done in years. I logged back into the account, clicked settings, then close account. It asked for a reason. I typed one word, betrayal. Before I hit confirm, I moved the remaining balance, barely a few $100, into my own emergency savings. My real emergency was already happening, and it had nothing to do with a medical bill. It was a wake-up call. They hadn't just forgotten me. They'd used me. I didn't sleep that night, not out of rage, not even out of sadness, but something sharper, colder, Like that feeling you get when you finally accept someone's not coming back. Not because they can't, but because they never planned to. By sunrise, the apartment smelled like burnt coffee, and the air was thick with stillness. I sat at my kitchen table, laptop open, fingers hovering over the keyboard. Subject line, update on the Heart Fund. I kept it short. Hi, Mom. I've closed the account. The funds are gone, and I've reviewed the transaction history. I know where the money went. No need to explain. Please don't contact me unless it's to apologize. Sincerely, Clara. I stared at the email, read it 3 times, not because I doubted it, but because it felt like I was writing a resignation letter, resigning from being the family's unpaid assistant, from being the invisible sibling, from being the strong one. Click. Send. That was the moment something shifted. I wasn't sad. I wasn't even angry anymore. I was clear. For the first time, my boundaries weren't just in my head. They were in writing. I grabbed my coat, walked outside, and let the cold slap me awake. Milwaukee in February isn't forgiving. But neither was my family. I walked to the coffee shop where I'd been freelancing part-time, ordered a triple espresso, and sat down with my notebook. I didn't plan to journal. I planned to rebuild. Step 1, get my money back. Not literally, but symbolically. I'd spent years pouring my energy, time, resources into people who couldn't be bothered to remember my birthday. Now, every ounce of that energy was coming back to me. I opened a blank page and wrote, what would my life look like if I stopped waiting to be chosen? Not by them, by me. Halfway through that thought, my phone buzzed. Mom. I let it ring. Then again. Then voicemail. I listened but didn't expect much. Clara, this is your mother. I'm shocked by your email. That account was meant for family. You're being ungrateful and dramatic. Lena didn't know anything. You're twisting things. Call me back before you do something rash. There it was. No apology. No ownership. Just guilt. Just gaslighting. I deleted the voicemail and blocked the number. That might sound harsh, but when someone sets your house on fire and then tells you to calm down, you don't hand them more matches. Later that day, I called my bank and closed the secondary savings account Dad had access to, changed my PayPal password, cut off the Spotify family plan. Small things, but they added up. Because for once, I wasn't bleeding slowly for the sake of peace. I was reclaiming oxygen. By 4 p.m., I'd received 5 texts from Mom, 2 from Dad, none from Lena, and then a DM from her. Clara, I had no idea. Can we talk? I stared at the message for a long time, and for the first time in years, I didn't feel guilt. I didn't feel shame. I didn't feel like the mean sister. I felt like someone finally saw the smoke and realized there'd been a fire all along. But I didn't reply. Not yet. I didn't know where else to go. There's something about family wounds. You can't always heal them alone, but you sure as hell can't go back to the ones who made the cuts. So I drove 2 hours out to Racine, to the one woman in our family who never played the game. Dee Margaret, Mom's younger sister, the one they never really talked about. At holidays, she was too busy. At weddings, on a retreat, at funerals. Well, she was always there, standing in the back, watching, never crying. I hadn't seen her in over a year, but I showed up anyway. Her house was the same, chipped porch paint, lavender bush still trying to survive in a cracked pot, wind chimes that sounded more like warning bells. She opened the door before I knocked. Clara, she said, just my name, nothing else. Then she pulled me into the kind of hug you don't realize you need until you can't breathe in it. We sat at her tiny kitchen table, sunlight slicing through dusty blinds. She made tea, not fancy. Black Lipton from a box, in a chipped mug that read, "World's Okayest Aunt." I told her everything. The post, the birthday, the bank account, the voicemail. She didn't interrupt once. When I finally stopped talking, the only sound was the tick of her wall clock, a slow, hollow beat that seemed to echo inside my chest. She sipped her tea and said, "She did it to me too, you know." I blinked. "Mom?" Margaret nodded. Julia's always needed a villain, someone to make her look better by comparison. I didn't know what to say, so she kept going. When we were kids, she'd tell our parents I was sneaking out, stealing, lying. None of it was true, but I was the weird one, the quiet one, the bookworm who didn't flirt with boys or join cheer. She looked out the window, like the past was still sitting on the lawn. She never hit me, but she made sure the world knew I wasn't welcome. And when I got into college, on scholarship, she told everyone I was abandoning the family. My throat tightened. Why would she do that? Margaret finally looked at me. Her eyes weren't angry, just tired. Because some people mistake attention for love, and if they think love is limited, they hoard it. Julia's always been terrified there's not enough room in the world for anyone else to shine but her, or someone she chooses. And she chose Lena, I said quietly. Margaret nodded. Just like she used to choose herself. She's rewriting the past through your sister. I sat back, the weight of it all pressing into my chest like sandbags. "You think I was stupid?" I whispered. "For trusting them?" She reached across the table. Her hand was small, cold, but steady. "No," she said. "I think you were good, and they mistook goodness for permission." We sat in silence, but it wasn't the empty kind this time. It was soft. After a while, she stood up, walked to the hallway, and came back holding a box. Inside, old letters, a photo of my mom in high school, and a faded sweater. "She wore this," she said, "and told people I stole it. Got me grounded for a week. I kept it. Not because I wanted revenge, but because I needed to remember. Her version wasn't the only one that existed." I didn't know what I'd come looking for that day, but I left with something I hadn't had in years. Context, and a little less shame. Because now I knew I wasn't the broken one. I was just the one who saw through the story too early. I didn't respond. To Lena's message, to Mom's voicemails, to Dad's passive-aggressive texts that said things like, "We've always supported you in our own way." I just went quiet. And that, more than anything I could have said, shook them. Because silence is what they used on me for years. They just never expected it to be reflected back. 3 days passed, then came the knock. Loud, fast, familiar. I looked through the peephole. Lena, hair curled, sunglasses on top of her head, duffel bag with a Paris souvenir tag still swinging from the strap. I didn't open the door. She knocked again, louder. Then, "Clara, seriously, this is stupid. Can we just talk?" I said nothing, just stood there, behind the wood, listening. Then her voice dropped. "Mom's freaking out. She says you're unraveling, that you're—" She cut herself off. I heard her exhale, hard, then softer. "I didn't know about the money, I swear. They said it was some travel fund Dad set up. I don't know. I thought they wanted me to use it." I leaned my head against the door, still said nothing, because honestly, I didn't believe her. Not yet. Not because I thought she was evil, but because she'd never had to ask where things came from. She was used to the world just giving. I watched her shadow step back, then a pause. "I miss you," she said. "I miss the sister who used to braid my hair and make me pancakes shaped like stars." I wanted to say, "That sister grew up while you stayed a child in Paris," but I didn't. Eventually, her shadow faded. An hour later, my phone buzzed. This time, it wasn't from her or Mom. It was Dad. "We need to talk. Your mother's not well. You've upset the entire household." That line did something to me. "You've upset the entire household." As if my silence was the match, not their decades of gaslighting and theft. I didn't respond. Then the group chat lit up, the one we used to use for family plans. "Mom, Clara, this isn't just about you. Mom, we're a family. Families don't punish each other. Mom, don't make this public. Don't make this public." That was it, wasn't it? She wasn't worried about me. She was worried about the image. The cracks weren't just forming now. They'd always been there. Under the paint, behind the smiles, beneath the Christmas cards and staged birthday posts. I'd just finally stopped filling them in, stopped spackling over the damage with forgiveness. That night, I lay on my bed with my phone above my head, scrolling through photos. Me and Lena at the beach, me and Lena in high school, her in cheer, me behind the camera, Mom at her 50th, smiling, arms around Lena. I was there too, but cut off from the frame, a literal crop. Fitting. I didn't plan it. There was no script, no drafts, no hashtags ready in my notes app. It started as a journal entry, then turned into an email, then into a post. By the time I hit publish, my hands were shaking, not from fear, but from something more honest. Relief. Paris isn't free. My name is Clara Hart. You might know my sister. You probably don't know me. I turned 30 last week. No one in my family remembered. They were too busy sending my younger sister off to Paris, a trip paid for by an account I had been quietly funding for years. I called it the Family Emergency Fund. Turns out the emergency was that I kept believing I mattered. I'm not writing this for pity. I'm writing this because silence protects the wrong people. And I've been silent for too long. My story isn't unique. Maybe you're the strong one in your family, the quiet one, the one who never asks for help, the one who gets skipped. Let me tell you, you are not imagining it. The dinners where your opinion wasn't asked, the birthdays forgotten, the invisible labor, the emotional invoices you never submitted but always paid. Paris isn't free. Someone pays for the spotlight. Sometimes it's the one who never got on the plane. I paid in silence. I'm done. I hit publish. Then I closed my laptop, took a walk. When I came back, there were already dozens of comments, some from strangers, some from people I hadn't talked to since high school. This hit hard. Thank you for saying what I never could. My family used me as their therapist until I finally said no. You're not alone. Paris isn't free. That line. I felt it in my bones. You just told my story. And one message from Lena. Clara, I didn't know. I'm so sorry. I want to understand. I didn't reply. Not yet. Maybe not ever. Because the point wasn't to shame her or anyone. The point was to reclaim me, my voice, my version, my name. And for the first time, I wasn't afraid to be seen. They called it a family dinner. Lena booked the restaurant. Dad offered to pay. Mom said nothing, but I knew she'd be there. That's how it always worked. Other people arranged the logistics. She controlled the air in the room. I didn't want to go, but I showed up, not to fix anything, not to negotiate, but to sit, to watch, to decide. If these people still had a seat at my table. The restaurant was dim, upscale, trying hard to look effortless. A candle flickered in the center of the table. One chair was still empty. Mine. I walked in, made no eye contact. Lena stood first. Clara, I raised a hand, let's just eat. They all sat. The silence? Dense. Menus were opened like shields. I could feel Mom stare before I looked up. Finally, she spoke. You humiliated this family. Not I'm sorry, not let's talk. Just that. I sipped my water. Slowly. Dad cleared his throat. What your mother means is, we could have handled this privately. I smiled, not kindly. I handled it privately for 30 years. You just didn't notice. Lena looked between us, her eyes already misty. Clara, I'm sorry. I didn't know. I believe you, I said, but that doesn't mean I trust you. Her face crumpled a little. She opened her mouth, closed it, sat back. Then Mom leaned in, voice low, cutting. I raised you. I did my best. I met her gaze. Steady. You raised someone who thought being invisible was normal. Silence. You raised someone who thought love was something you earn by being useful, quiet, convenient. But I'm not that girl anymore. Dad looked away, fork scraping porcelain. I folded my napkin, placed it gently on the table. This dinner isn't about apologies. I didn't come here to forgive. I came to return the silence. 3 heads snapped toward me. For years, I begged for attention. Now you're the ones asking me to stay. I stood up. I'm not angry. I'm free. You don't get to rewrite this. I reached into my purse, took out a note. Here's the breakdown of every dollar I deposited, with receipts. I handed it to Dad. He didn't take it. I laid it on the table, next to the untouched bread basket, and I left, not storming, not crying, just leaving. Outside, the air was cold. The stars felt sharp, but I breathed easier than I had in years, because this time, I wasn't walking away from my family. I was walking toward myself. I wrote the letters on a Sunday. No music, no tea, just the window open and the sound of dry leaves scraping across the sidewalk. I didn't write to get closure. I wrote to give it to myself. To Mom, I don't hate you, but I can't carry your silence anymore. You taught me to be small so you could feel big. I won't be small for you again. I wish you healing, but I won't be there to manage it. To Dad, you saw it? You always saw it. And you let it happen. That hurt more than the words you didn't say. I'm not your fixer anymore. To Lena, I believe you didn't know, but now you do. And if you stay quiet now, that's a choice. I love the girl you were. I don't know the woman you became. Maybe one day we'll meet again, as strangers who choose each other, freely. I folded each letter carefully, put them in a shoebox, tied it with ribbon, left it on the front steps of my parents' house. I didn't knock, didn't text, just walked away. That night, I started packing, not just clothes, but pieces of a life that no longer fit. The world's best daughter mug, gone. The framed photo of our last family trip in the donation pile. The old sweater Lena gave me, kept, not for sentiment, but as a reminder. People can mean well and still hurt you. I booked a one-way ticket, nothing dramatic, just a city I'd always loved from afar. Not because it was exotic or cool, but because it was mine. No memories tied to anyone else, no shadows. I wrote one last note, not a letter, just a line on a sticky note, pressed to my bathroom mirror before I left. You don't owe anyone the version of you that made them comfortable. I didn't cry at the airport, didn't turn around at security. I walked forward with a small suitcase and a self I finally recognized. The apartment was small, a fourth-floor walk-up with squeaky stairs and water that took a minute to warm, but it was mine. The first morning, I woke up to the sound of birds instead of old pipes or muted arguments. I made instant coffee in a chipped mug I bought for $1.50 at a thrift store. It had a picture of a cactus and said, "Still growing, still spiky." Felt right. I didn't post about the move, didn't text anyone, just unpacked, slowly, one book at a time, one spoon, one sweater, a tiny rug that smelled like vanilla and dust. I bought a plant, a pothos, low maintenance, hard to kill, like me. I didn't decorate the walls with family photos. Instead, I printed out a photo of myself, age 12, holding a camera, grinning, eyes bright. Before I knew what it meant to be the reliable one, I framed it, taped a sticky note below. She's still here. I started freelancing full-time. Odd jobs at first, ghostwriting blog posts, editing marketing decks. Nothing glamorous, but steady. Mine. I made playlists for cleaning, for cooking, for doing nothing. My favorite was called Finally Breathing. I went to the farmer's market on Sundays, tried unfamiliar cheeses, smiled at old people walking their dogs. There was no grand epiphany, no montage moment, just little things. Like realizing I didn't have to explain my silence to anyone, like cooking dinner and eating it warm, instead of waiting for someone else to be hungry, like sleeping through the night without dreaming of voices that said, "You're too much," or "You don't do enough." One day, I got a letter in the mail, no return address, just my name in handwriting I recognized. It was from Lena. Inside, a photo. Us, age 6 and 9, covered in glitter glue, smiling like we didn't know what the world would do to us, and a note. "I'm learning. I'm sorry. I hope your new roots bloom." I didn't cry, but I placed the photo on my shelf, next to the pothos. My plant has grown 3 new leaves. I didn't even notice at first. It just quietly did what it was made to do: stretch, reach, unfold. Some mornings now, I wake up and don't check my phone. I water the pothos, open the window, let the breeze carry in whatever the world has for me that day. It's strange how loud peace can feel when you're used to walking on emotional eggshells. I still write, not to explain myself, just because I like the sound of my own thoughts now. There's a cafe down the street where the barista knows my name, where nobody calls me strong because nobody's asking me to hold anything for them. And that's what healing looks like for me. Not fireworks, not revenge, just breath, space. Sunlight on my collarbone as I sip bitter coffee from a cup that says, "This is enough." Sometimes I think about sending another letter, to Mom, to Lena, even to Dad, but I don't. Not because I'm angry, because I'm not waiting anymore. Not for them to see me, not for them to change, not for the version of love I built from scraps. This peace, I grew it, and I'm not handing it over for anything.